Hi there guys, TGIF. We made it, it's Friday and welcome to another clip, welcome to another topic. Today I want to draw your attention to the CFTC and to the CoT-Report. What is the CFTC? What's the CoT-Report? The CFTC is the Commodities Futures Trading Commission and the CoT-Report is the Commitment of Traders Report. What's the use of that? Is there anything you can benefit from? Definitely. With the CoT-Report, you get a weekly picture, a weekly sentiment, how the big boys are positioned. If you have a look at the website and at the CoT-Report, you will find a couple of things you can pick out. First of all, you have the one version, it's the so-called disaggregated report. On the other side, you have the legacy report. Usually they will split between a long format and a short format. And on top of that, split between futures only and futures and options combined. Usually the legacy report, the short format, is okay. It gives you a useful picture of a certain asset class in the futures markets. For example, you have a picture of the agricultural futures from corn over wheat down to frozen concentrated orange juice and stuff like that. Then on top of that, you have the precious metals, so gold and silver, for example. On top, you have the industrial metals, lead, for example, or let's talk about copper and stuff like that. And not to forget, you got a lot of futures regarding the FX business and the bond markets, so bond futures, and on top of that, indices, futures on indices, for example, like the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq 100 or the Nikkei. You may find out how the boys are positioned, and if you have really a chance to find something like a crowded trade to position yourself against that, or to anticipate a so-called move against the trend, or that you will maybe feel somehow, if you feel something like in there in the market, that the trend is not longer your friend and it might end. So this is something like a tool. It's not a real-time tool, as I said, but it's kind of useful to get a picture, to get the sentiment out of it. Today I brought you a little bit of a cheat sheet as well, and not to forget a couple of numbers. So regarding that silver trade, for example, you will find out that in the silver market, you will have, for example, the non-commercials and the commercials, especially the commercial side, 121,638 contracts on the short side. And from 1 week to another, this even was built up 2,000 contracts more on the short side. It might end the next weeks to come due to a couple of regulations. So the CME, so the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, hired the maintenance margin from $14,000 up to $16,500. Usually, if they keep on doing that stuff, a couple of investors are simply shaking their heads. No more. I won't stick to that trade. I simply leave that trade because it's too expensive for me to hold the position. If you go back in history, you will find data about the gold future market as well. And if you look at the data from 2011, you will find out that they hired the maintenance margin a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, just to reduce the amount of money and the flow of money into a long gold. They simply wanted to stop that kind of a party and to get more control about the gold market again. History is not always repeating, but right now it simply has a little bit of a smell that that kind of a move could happen for a couple of months to come. In the longer run, silver possibly has a huge industrial ask side, especially in the next 1 or 2 or 3 years to come from the US solar industry, for example, and a couple of other industrial possibilities, usages. But one thing I want to draw your attention as well is just really imagine right now, only from the commercial side, 121,000 contracts on the short side. And of course, a couple of other numbers on the long side and at the non-commercial side. We are speaking about one contract of silver, which consists of 5,000 troy ounces. Imagine the silver market, so the global mine production in the whole year 2020 was 25,000 metric tons. So just imagine what kind of amount of silver, what huge masses of silver, virtual silver, paper silver, is traded every day at the exchanges like the CME, for example. It's kind of crazy. It sounds crazy, but somehow it's useful. Somehow this kind of a short squeeze we saw might not be happening again. This is a sudden move. But at the end of the day, you simply have a look at this kind of CFTC data, at the CoT-Report, to get a picture what's going on from 1 week to another. What was going on the last weeks or month before? How is this kind of position built up on the short or on the long side? Is there anything like a chance to see that I can hop on a trend? Or is there anything like I can see that this trend is about to end and that I could anticipate a move back or a so-called break of a trend? So this is something like being delivered by the CoT data, a little bit of a more detailed information from the big participants in these kind of markets. Before I end, I want to inform you, on top, besides silver, besides all that stuff, there's another future maybe worth looking at. That's the Bitcoin future. The Bitcoin future is as well traded at the CME. So you will find detailed information about who's long, who's short, and what kind of amount some traders, the huge traders, are short and long. I brought that cheat sheet as well. And just from the data, February 09/21, we got the non-commercial, so the speculators, with a amount of short positions, short contracts, 9,171 short against 6,327 on the long side. Just to give you a picture what is going on at that kind of non-commercial side. The commercial numbers are way below, not really interesting in that kind of a market. So the non-commercial chapter is something you have a look on. Just to inform you, one contract of the Bitcoin future consists of 5 Bitcoins. So imagine what kind of amount of money we're talking about right now. Okay, possibly you got a couple of informations. You might get more stuff out of the website. Don't be afraid. Just type in www.cftc.gov. It's all free. Just have a look at the chapter Commitment of Traders Report and browse yourself through the various numbers of exchanges and reports, and make yourself something like familiar with that. It won't be easy from one day to another, but if you just try to get more stuff out of that from week to week, you will find out that it's kind of useful. Happy Friday now again. Be safe, healthy and prosper, and hopefully we see us next time, next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.